If you propose to a Chinese girl, she will usually say, she need to ask her parents first, and then she will take you to meet them. You may think her parents will warmly ask you, can you take good care of my daughter? But in reality, they may ask you directly, how much money can you give us? This is the bridal price phenomenon in China. In Chinese, this money is called Caili, which means a gift payment given by the man to the woman's family. However, the English translation is incredibly direct. Bridal price, the price of a bridal. It feels like describing a human trafficking transaction, which makes people very uncomfortable. If only one family is talking to you about human trafficking, you can reject them and find someone else. But what if entire society, everyone around you, is talking to you about human trafficking? As long as you want to get married, you only had this one option. In China, a guy paying a bridal price to get married had already become the default expectation. Even some girls find this ridiculous, but they still have to ask their parents to go easy on their boyfriends. In the end, they still take 10,000 yuan just to save face. But many girls actually want to make big fortunes through marriage, grabbing several years of future income all at once. This is a Chinese couple talking about the bridal price. The girl is asking the guy for 488,000 yuan, saying that in her hometown, some people ask for even more, 700,000, 800,000, or even 1 million yuan. So 488,000 is already very cheap. As for why she wants a bridal price, the reason this girl gives is that it is her financial security after marriage, and it also shows the groom's family sincerity. Only with this can she feel safe marrying into the family. The guy isn't buy it, and asked, what exactly is being secured? She replies that it secures her quality of life after marriage. What if the guy turned back right after marriage and refused to give her his salary? What is she supposed to do then? By the way, in China, many girls demand that their husband hand over their entire salary after marriage. The usual reason given is to prevent the husband from cheating or wasting money. However, the wife cheat or waste money, nobody can control that. Then the guy asked, if he give her 488,000 yuan, what does she give him? The girl say, it is totally normal for a man to give a bridal price when getting married. It is being the tradition since ancient time. She even asked him back, does she really expect to marry someone's daughter without spending a single penny? She even accused him, trying to get something for nothing. This girl's point of view is definitely not an isolated case in China. On Chinese social media platforms like Douyin and Redno, the comments are completely filled with people demanding bridal price. On top of that, the amount requests in China usually follow a certain pattern. Generally, if a guy is poor, this demand will crush him. The bridal price and the wedding cost, no ordinary guy can afford that. It takes decades of hard work to save that much. In the end, many families had to take out massive loans just to get married. If a guy is wealthy and his family bought a house for him, they will demand half the property or even higher bridal price. In the eye of many girls, if you are that rich, giving just a few 100,000 yuan doesn't show your sincerity. You had to give away half your family fortune to truly show your love. Chinese netizens usually describe this as talking about money with the poor and talking about love with the rich. Hearing this, you may be a bit confused. What if this money actually used for it? It feels like using for building that two people's new family. It may not feel so painful. First of all, this money actually goes to the bride's parents. As for how she split it, it depends entirely on their character. Some will give all the money to their daughter to use for building her new family, which means the ownership of money simply changed from the grooms to the bride. This is already the best case. Others keep it for themselves or use it to pay their son's bridal price. There is a common saying going around among us: just marry the girlfriend of the bride's younger brother directly and cut off the middleman. And this bridal price of 200,000 to 300,000 yuan is just the tip of iceberg. Getting married also requires you to prepare all kinds of golden jewelry, a wedding dress, dozens of banquet tables at hotel, a fleet of luxury cars, and other expenses. Hearing this, you may wonder, are Chinese people really that rich? They can afford to treat a huge crowd to dinner and rent a car fleet? Actually, this comes from the Chinese obsession with saving face. Chinese parents feel that if they don't put on a massive show, they will lose face. People will think their family is poor. But the funny thing is, the poor family wants the biggest wedding to look rich, but since they can afford it, they expect the groom to pay for everything. You may think that after paying so much money, you will be the main character of this wedding and could actually enjoy it. In reality, you can't at all. During the process of picking up the bride and wedding ceremony, the bride's side will often design all kinds of weird steps just to keep asking for money. They can even create things like cardboarding fee, card lighting fee, and parents' acknowledgement fee. For example, in the video, the bride had already arrived at the wedding place, but she sat in the car and refused to budge. She demanded a car lighting fee just to get out. The groom had no choice but to put out a red packet and hand it over. But the bride's friend take a look, judge the amount as too small, and seeing it doesn't give the bride enough face. The bride gets very angry because she feels he lost face and refused to get out of the car no matter what. In this kind of environment, as long as you want to make this wedding happen, you have to keep handing over money non-stop and swallow your anger the whole way. Once everything is settled and you finally successfully marry the bride, do you think it ends there? No at all. Because the bridal price is huge amount, equivalent to several years of income for local. In many rural areas of China, marriage scheme has even become popular. Many people get married for just a few months, and then the bride will feel any possible excuse, like incompatible personalities, to file for divorce, and by this time, they will find all kinds of excuses to keep the huge bridal price. Facing this kind of marriage that is full of financial calculation, young Chinese men are becoming less and less willing to get married. From the man's perspective, they feel that goals nowadays are extremely realistic and that getting married feels like losing all their money. From the woman's perspective, they also have their own logic. They believe that asking for a bridal price is to give their marriage a form of security. Women are in the weak position when it comes to taking care of kids and family life. If the guy doesn't give money, she will have absolutely no leverage. Only when she holds the money in her hand can she feel safe and have status in family. There is a popular saying among women, if a guy isn't willing to spend a few 100,000 yuan on you, how can he say he loves you? But here is the interesting part. More of this gold come from poor villagers and only make 3,000 to 5,000 yuan a month. They still expect a massive bridal price to change their life, an amount they couldn't save in a lifetime. They want a wealthy life they can create themselves. And this huge imbalance is what made China marriage market completely crazy right now.